Narrative therapy is a psychotherapeutic approach developed by Michael White, an Australian social worker and family therapist. White's approach was to externalize the problem the client was experiencing and then to reshape the client's narrative or experience of that problem. This type of therapy separates the person from the problem and allows the client to view the problem as an external object that they have control of. The motto of narrative therapy is, "The person is not the problem is the problem." Narrative therapy holds that our identities is shaped by our stories or narratives of who we are. A child who chronically wets the bed may come to know himself as Johnny the bedwetter. This negative identity will create an internal anxiety that will perpetuate a self-fulfilling prophecy of future bedwetting. A narrative therapist may reshape this child's story, emphasizing how brave Johnny is for facing this problem of bedwetting. After successive nights of not wetting the bed, the therapist may have Johnny tell his story from the beginning of how he faced and overcame his problem, and how Johnny can now face future challenges with confidence. By externalizing the bedwetting from Johnny, the client is allowed to let go of the problem and view it as an outside the self. Narrative therapy was developed during the 1970s and the 1980s through the work of White and David Epson. Narrative therapy became popular in North America with the release of their 1990 book, Narrative Means to Therapeutic Ends. The therapist in narrative therapy is a collaborator with the client and engages in helping the client shape thicker or preferred narratives. The couple seeking therapy consists of Amy North, a 28-year-old Caucasian female, and Lauren West, a 29-year-old Caucasian female. The couple have been together for 4.5 years. Amy and Lauren live separately, but are considering moving in together. They both have completed college and have steady careers. They spend the majority of their time together and have similar support systems. Amy and Lauren both live in the city where they graduated from. Neither have family in the immediate area. Their support system primarily consists of college and work friends, most of which they have in common. Both families are accepting and understanding of their relationship. They spend time traveling to visit each family whenever the opportunity arises. Amy and Lauren hope to get married one day, but they refuse to do so until all the states legalize gay marriage. They want to adopt children in the long-term future. Amy and Lauren self-referred to therapy to work on what they call their messed up relationship. Amy and Lauren have been experiencing increased fighting, lack of communication, decreased intimacy, and the general feeling of distance between one another. Amy has been working increased hours at her job to save money for the apartment they hope to move into, but does not feel Lauren is putting up the same amount of effort or energy. Amy and Lauren both report verbal abuse but deny physical abuse. Both report drinking socially, but deny it is a problem. The couple resorts that, despite the daily arguing, they tried not to go to bed mad. When asked about their strengths, the couple reported that they are able to work their differences out quickly, but quickly added that the dysfunctional areas of their relationship need to be addressed prior to moving in together. In the first technique, the therapist aids the clients in shifting to a new and more positive narrative of their relationship. The therapist does this by identifying and emphasizing existing strengths. The therapist will point out previous unnoticed strengths and will ultimately suggest that the couple redefine themselves by these strengths and not by the problems they sometimes experience.
But it's not just always us, it's us being a lesbian couple in today's society. A lot of times we're not accepted from the outside society, from everybody else. And even like my immediate family is a good support, and so is hers, But we can't tell necessarily our extended family. Like, my grandma doesn't know about this. Like, she doesn't know. I can't even take my girlfriend to, like, Thanksgiving dinner and introduce her as my girlfriend. So I know that causes a lot of the stress.
Right, and my grandparents don't know either. But, I mean, that's just a fraction of it. Most of the time, I mean, we're out in public. She wants to be affectionate, hold my hand. I'm not okay with that right now. So that fuels a lot of the stress and the fights. But I'm not okay. I don't know who's in public, who sees us. And it doesn't, the outcomes are not well.
Well, I can only imagine how hard it is to be in public. I've never had to deal with something to not be like that, to not have to hold my wife's hand in public because I was worried about other people's thoughts. Earlier you told me that you're in LGBT groups, and I was like, and I can think that I'm feeling that you guys are really brave for being there, and you guys should be proud that you're fighting for such a good cause. And you also told me that you didn't want to get married until all the states approved it. And I think that's great, and that shows that you guys are role models.
In the second technique, the therapist will attempt to identify specific situations from the past where the couple has successfully and effectively interacted, resulting in the meaningful communication instead of a fight. The therapist attempts to
Amy,
weave this past success into the fabric of the current
In our
narrative.
relationship?
Yes.
I would say that we're able to get over things pretty quickly. We usually talk things out. Like, we do argue a lot, and that's why we're here, because the amount of arguing that we do. But we are able to talk it out and work through it usually.
So you'd say you probably have really, really good communication.
I think so.
It sounds like that to me too. Lauren, can you tell me when you had to use good communication between the two of you?
I mean, we're pretty good at not bottling up and not holding back. We usually do. But I can think of one time last week. I came home so stressed from work. I had the worst day ever. She was cooking dinner, and I came in like a mess. And she just stopped what she was doing and came and like talked to me. I felt so connected to her. Like, she noticed for once. She noticed. I felt connected to her. Like, we just talked, and she actually listened.
That's great. That's a very good attribute to have, is good communication in a relationship.
In the final technique, the therapist will use specially designed questions to help externalize the presenting problem. Note that the therapist always refers to the fighting and never personalize it by saying her fighting or her anger.
Go.
In this
Like
way,
I said
the
earlier,
therapist
we fight all
begins
the
the
time, but I
process of
think a lot
separating
it's
the
because she
person
comes home
and the
mad.
problem.
Like, she's at work,
which is
or
the
she's
central
mad at her
element.
family or her friends, anything. She comes home mad all the time. And she takes it out on me, and I'm
All I
tired.
want is for her to listen. Sorry to interrupt. All I want is for her to listen. She won't listen. I want her to pay attention to me. I mean, it's not at her. It's not directed towards her. But I do. Maybe I am in a bad mood. I don't know. It wears us out.
So, Amy, what has the fighting been doing to your life?
I mean, it's been tearing us apart. I feel like our relationship, that's why we're here, because our relationship's not in the best spot right now. It
We
tears us
have
apart.
grown really distant.
Can you tell me how the fighting's affected other aspects of your life?
I mean, it affects my job, because I'm going to work upset. Like, we fight in the mornings, we'll fight in the evening, and I know whenever I leave work, I'm going to go home and be upset.
It affects my family because they're sick of me calling and talking about it. I mean, all they hear is the negatives. I don't necessarily call them up and talk about the positives. So, I mean, my family's getting worn out too because I'm putting the burden on them to listen to me.
Do you feel like the fighting came between you at home to where you guys wouldn't see each other as much?
Narrative therapy, although relatively new to Western psychotherapy, has quickly become a preferred approach of those practicing within existentialist or humanistic paradigms. The narrative approach relies heavily on individuals' perception, and in doing so borrows from numerous philosophical traditions that likewise emphasize individuals' experience. Epictetus, the ancient Greek philosopher, famously said, "People are disturbed not by things, but by the view which he takes on them." The narrative therapist is a collaborator and co-author in the creation of a client's new narrative, in which they reshape these views and ultimately define a new identity of who they are. Through telling and recrafting their story, the client is unshackled from the chains of their problem and afford the freedom to be who they truly wish to be.
Don't look at the camera.
Go ahead.
Okay, are we starting now?
You're good now. Go ahead.
Oh God. Okay, hang on. I have to calm down.
That's fine.
My heart's going crazy. I'm really
Just take
anxious
your
about
time.
being on camera.
Take your time.
Okay.
Tell me what's bothering
Do you want me to be the therapist and you?
you. Just go.
No, okay, don't pressure me
I'm
now.
not pushing.
Okay.
No
Push-
pressure.
Don't pressure me.
Would you like me to play Queen?
Now I'm ready for
Let's just.
Okay.
Let's just.
I'm filming, okay? Can I call you back?
Whenever he's done. We got plenty now.
I just don't know what to say.
Do I move my hands too
It's
much?
like it all
Do I need
mumbles
to
together,
settle my
you know?
hands?
Your hands
Don't
are
worry
fine.
about.
It's
Just.
supposed to be.
Can you move your hands a little more, actually? Yeah, lots of hand. I want lots of hand. Just do like interpretive hand shit the whole time, and like we'll never
And then
explain why they're
we
doing
try to
it.
hold hands.
Talk real normal.
She
Yeah.
just feels it.